Hey guys, edgy 12-year-old here, and welcome to Drawing with Chez. Now, I'm not much for, tutorials, okay? I'm a really bad teacher, and I don't even really know where to start with this. But a lot of people have been requesting that I make some tutorials, on how I do my art. So I think maybe I can give you some tips and stuff. So this will just be episode 1, I guess. If you guys like it, I'll make more of them, and I'll go over every aspect of everything in all of my art in later videos. But for this one, we're gonna keep it simple, and we're just gonna do how I draw my people in their figures. How I draw figures. Okay, here we go. To start off, all you really need is a piece of paper and a pencil, or a marker, or anything you like to draw with, a pen. But I draw digitally, and so all of my art is done with this app called Procreate on an iPad Pro using an Apple Pencil, and I do all of my editing for my videos in Sony Vegas Pro. Now, obviously, you don't need any of this stuff. You can have a completely different setup. You could literally just use anything, really, to create art. This is just what works for me, and because I like to do digital art, I found this to be a really good setup for my style. Now, I like to do a lot of my art on the move. I like to have the ability to draw digitally anywhere, which is one of the only reasons I don't have a Wacom tablet or a drawing monitor. I just like the freedom you get when you have a tablet, I guess. That's just my opinion. So if you've been kind of on the fence about doing art and you want to start drawing digitally right now, here's what you can do. You can download a really cheap or even free app on your phone, or if you have an iPad or some other type of tablet or smart device, you can download an app called Art Studio, Sketchbook. There's a million drawing apps that you can download. Just find one that you think is good and works for you. Now, you don't need a stylus in order to do digital art. It helps a lot. I couldn't draw without a stylus. But if you want to, you can just use your finger to draw. If you're like me and you need a stylus, you can just go to the store wherever you are and go to the electronics section and find little styluses for tablets. They're really cheap. Alright, now to actually start drawing. Okay, so each person has a head, 2 arms, a torso, and 2 legs. This pretty much goes without say, but I think it's important that you kind of realize where all of these components are in your art piece. I've found that if you're consciously aware of where each of these little pieces are at all times, it makes your art come out a lot better. I'm not sure why, but it does for me. So just keep in mind, oh, I want his arms to be here. Oh, I want her legs to go there. That kind of a thing. Alright, rule number 1 about drawing any figure is to start with the head. I've found that when you start drawing the head first and then add everything else to the head, it makes it so much easier in the long run to actually get something that looks good. So for my style of art that I have, I draw the head and then the arms and then the torso. You can experiment and find whatever order works for you, but I suggest you always start with the head. Alright, so different art programs that you get will have different settings. In mine, Procreate, it has this pressure curve that I can use with my Apple Pencil, and it allows me to kind of get that really nice smooth line, I should say. If you don't have that kind of a thing, don't even worry about it, alright? All you have to do to get a really nice looking head is basically just make a really quick line, okay? Draw quickly. Make a really fast stroke in a circle. I found that if you do this, it makes your line a whole lot smoother and it looks so much nicer and less rigid and less bumps. But if you draw slowly and you have a slow circle going, what's going to happen is you're going to get small bumps here and there, and it's going to start looking a little weird. So whenever you draw the head, make sure you're aware of where they're facing, where the face is going to go, and how that's going to kind of affect their body positions. If I know that their face is going to be looking to the right, I can easily draw a circle, and that'll kind of automatically make it to where the head is set up for them to be looking in that direction. It's really hard to explain, but when you try it, you'll know what I mean. Alright, so that's just pretty much it on how to draw a head. Now we're going to talk about the torso and the arms. So I want a person to be looking to the right, and then maybe have their hands in their hoodie pockets or something like that. A small pointer that you can use is whenever they're facing a certain direction, you want whatever arm is facing the camera to be drawn first. It makes it a lot easier to line things up. So you can see here that their left arm, well, technically it's their right arm, but you can see how the arm that's facing the audience, the camera, is drawn first, and then I draw the line for the torso. After that, I then finally draw the last arm, the one that's facing away from the audience. That's what I draw last. And don't worry about clothing right now, I'll get to that in a later episode. We're just focusing on figures. It's also worth noting that you kind of want your limbs to be flowing. You don't really want them to be static or in a really rigid position, I guess. In my experience, it's just easier to look at and it looks a lot nicer. So again, like in this one, I draw the head and then the arm that's facing the audience and then the torso and then the other arm. And it just makes for a good flow. I guess it's really easy to watch it come together if you work in that way. But obviously you don't have to. There's no rules. It's just some guidelines. So let's talk about legs real fast. In my art style that I have, arms and legs are pretty much almost identical when drawing them. Legs are just a little bit longer, and instead of having a hand, they have a foot on the end, obviously. They both bend in the middle, so it's kind of, if you draw your legs in a similar fashion to your arms, it should end up looking decent. Instead of connecting to the head like arms do, though, they just connect to the bottom of the torso. Pretty simple, right? Now, I'm not particularly great at drawing hands or feet, so it's completely up to you how you draw them, but for me, I always draw my feet as little tiny nubs, and then I just draw my hands with about 4 fingers, I think. I'll do another tutorial on those later if you want, but for right now, we're just focusing on the figure. So remember, the head, you start with the head. Arms branch out from the head, torso goes between the arms, legs come from the torso. It's really that simple. Alright, so now I'm going to show you how to recreate some of the positions, some of the figures that I've created in my art in the past. So just yesterday, I think it was, I finished this drawing. I called it Cold, for obvious reasons. But if I'm going to recreate this stance, I'm just going to start with the head, and then the arm, torso, and then the other arm, and then finally you finish it off with the legs. And this is a very, very basic figure. It doesn't have any details on it. It probably won't look super, super great. It's pretty bland, but it is absolutely essential to drawing people in my style. So that's pretty much it. I hope that I helped a little bit. I am in no way certified, I guess, to make this video. I'm an amateur artist myself, but if you like the video and you want to know how I draw clothing or facial expressions or pretty much anything else in any of my art, just let me know and I'll be happy to make a part 2. And until then, I don't know how to end this video.